Rappin with ReefBum is sponsored by Polo Reef and Champion Lighting and Supply. What would you guys say are each of you, top 3 most important things to keeping a successful reef tank? Who wants to start with that one?
I'll say stability, water quality, and water movement.
Lighting was not in that list.
No, and I'm a big lighting person, right? I wrote articles on it. I did a lot of stuff, but like I feel that you can get a lot of you can get great growth with a variety of lights and really poor light. You know what I mean? Like I've had fantastic frags growing on par that's like 140, 160 down on the sand bed with no issues at all. I've had frag tanks that don't have a lot of par in them, and I get good color and I get decent growth and everything else like that. I think that the lighting is for me, I feel it's overstated from what it is. It's very important, but I feel that stability, water quality, and even water movement is more important.
What parameters, Joe, would you say for water quality do you hone in on?
I mean, really for the big things, it's really like, alkalinity is like 7.5 to 8, and calcium I like 450 to 500, and magnesium it's 1450 or so. And all the other parameters are just you're tweaking things. I feel that too much is said about that. I was a big proponent, I still am, of trace elements and dosing I make all my own solutions, and I take I would take ICP tests and dose what I feel needs to be in there, but you don't need those to be successful. I think those are like when you're doing great and things are awesome and you're like, man, I really think I'd love to get a little bit more of this color out of this or a little bit more of that. Then trace element is for you, but I don't think it's a necessary thing for your reef tank or even to be successful. Water changes alone, I think you can be pretty successful with.
I'm pretty much in the same agreement as Joe. I mean, I wish there were 4 because I think, lighting is important. And to Joe's point, like I said, I'm still Halides and T5s, and I think LEDs can work if you can dial it to the right spectrum as what, let's say, a halide would give you, but stop futzing around, because every time you change the setting on an LED, you're pissing off the coral, and I think, I mean, I've seen very successful tanks with just LED lights, set them, let them do their thing and forget about it, but if you are going to go and see Greg's tank and say, wow, I like his spectrum, I want to change it, and he got the same light, and you start changing it, be aware that your corals are going to be pissed off for maybe a week, 2 weeks, a month. So the success is to halide, besides the UV, which LED is not giving you, is that you couldn't change it. You turn it on, you turn it off. But again, stability is very important. Flow, depending if you are doing an SPS tank, you definitely need to have good flow. And that's basically it. But stability, discipline goes with stability, because you need to have discipline. There's not much more to success. I mean, honestly.
All right, so my 3 definitely flow. I think I think flow is underrated for a lot of people. A lot of people, in my opinion, don't have enough flow. I think that's some place where a lot of people really skimp because, you know, the pumps can get expensive. Water quality, and what I mean by that is, you know, I like to put the biggest skimmer I can fit in the sump. Period. I'd rather have that additional power for an event where I'll need it than to not have it and need it. So water quality, and you know, the other one is patience. A good reef isn't built in a day, but you certainly can lose a good reef in a day. So now, you know, I do love stability as well, but you know, we're limited to 3. And as far as lighting goes, corals don't have legs. That means they can adapt. So just set it and forget it if you have LEDs. I think the biggest enemy to people running LEDs is their own tinkering self. And that's why I think people loved Kessels, because there was such a limit to your tinkering, because it only had, you know, you could turn it towards blue or turn it towards white, you know. But realistically, set it on a spectrum that you know other people have used with success, and just leave it. The corals will adapt. They will.
And use a spectrum that, you know, you dig, right?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I think that's a very good point, because if you don't like the spectrum, you certainly won't keep it.
Yeah.
And every time you change it, those corals are going to go through an acclimation process. So it's like you get somebody who says, "Oh, well, what's your spectrum?" And they change theirs to that, and then it doesn't grow for a month, and they're like, "Oh, well, that spectrum didn't work for me. I'm going to switch back." And then it still doesn't grow for a month, because the coral is adapting. It's now like, okay, things have changed. Let me gear myself to accept this light, you know. And you just mess when you tinker with things. You mess with stability.
I used to tell people, if you make a change, you got to wait 3 months before you're gonna see whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
So you better really think about that change, because 3 months.
Yeah.
Well, everything that people said here is all very true, but you're missing one of the point what I think is the most important point, and that's matching these parameters to what you're trying to keep. Lighting, not necessarily important. It depends what you're keeping. I could light my cold water tank with a candle. It requires no light, or a non-photosynthetic tank. So matching. As for flow, again, what are you keeping that requires what flow? One commonality is nutrient export. Whether it's a cold water tank, a non-photosynthetic tank, a reef tank, whatever, those still comes into play. You have to deal with nutrient export through various means. But all those other parameters that everyone's listing, it's kind of a function. What are you trying to keep? We all want to keep the kitchen sink, and that always isn't possible. It's easier with larger tanks, because we've all been there. You create micro habitats within your tank through your aquascaping or flow, but not everything likes lots of flow. Other things like no calm water at all. So you need to think about matching what you want to keep to these other parameters.
Thing about that, I found out that many reefers, they need to consider when they are very busy what they can do to maintain the tank. So the long-term stability, actually that contributed to long-term stability. For example, so if I decided to add 30 different bottles every day in my tank, I need to think about, what happens if I have a busy day? Can I keep up with it? What happens if I go on vacation? What happens if my life has other priorities shows up? I maybe have a baby, or maybe got a new puppy. And then you still need to be able to do the same thing or similar thing to your reef tank to upkeep it. So just have to keep it simple. Think about that. Keep it as simple as what you can do at your busiest day, and pick a method that is very simple that you can handle. Think about the downtime. Think about your new puppy, a new baby, or you get married. Yeah, so I think that's very important to choose a method to maintain the tank. I have seen so many tanks that the people get out of hobby because they just cannot do what they were planning to do. The method they use to maintain their reefing methods. I think that's pretty the human factor.
Yeah, life gets busy sometimes, and if you're
Yeah.
not, if you just can't, if you've got a tank that needs so much babysitting that you can't just go away and do things, take care of life for a while, you're going to have problems eventually. Yeah.
I'll add my 3. And I would say top for me, and this is an SPS dominant tank. So I'm not talking about a mixed reef or a lot of LPS.
Yeah, I only talk about SPS too.
Yeah, so for me,
Same here.
it's SPS dominant. I'd say good, strong, random circulation is.
Noses in the air.
What's that?
All these noses stuck up high in the
Oh
air.
yeah.
That, unfortunately, that's the way
that's
my
all I know
brain
how to-
always works. When
That's
I
all I know
answer
how to
questions.
keep. So
Yeah.
I kill everything else. For me, I think number 1 is good, strong, random flow circulation. Probably tops my list, and I think lighting. And I agree with everybody in terms of I don't think it matters too much in terms of what kind of lighting you're using. I used to be a big metal halide guy. Now I'm pretty much all LEDs except for one tank, frag tank. But I think as long as you have some good, strong par for SPS, that's important. I like to keep a spectrum that mimics metal halides, 400 watt, 20K metal halides for my LEDs. So that's what I use for the spectrum. But I think the third thing for me is, and I think we've all talked about this, is like keeping the hands out of the tank, just almost like forgetting about the tank in some sense, in terms of it's like just stop fussing, and I think we've kind of like hinted around that, all of us, but just really leave it alone and let Mother Nature do her thing. I've seen like some amazing things happen in my tanks when I just, I'm doing my maintenance, I'm paying attention to the tanks, but I'm not going in there and moving things around. I'm not messing with things. So I think that's speaks to some simplicity and just really letting things work themselves out.